Hello. Just some other topics that I wanted to bring updates on, and one is the coup and protest in Myanmar, also known as Burma. The death toll in the country has been rising. Initially, when it started, I believe about 2 weeks. I believe about it's been a month now, but about a month into the coup or overthrow of the democratic government in Myanmar. There have been a number of crackdowns, and I believe the military has disconnected the internet and some forms of communication as well with the population. One thing most notably is I believe about 2 weeks ago we had the first deaths during the crackdown. It was just peaceful protesting and things like that that had happened in Myanmar, but it really is something that is quite disturbing is that a very young country that is seeking democracy and things like that have been kind of quelched in an unruly fashion by strongman and uh, a right wing dictatorship. And so it is kind of sad to see for Myanmar. Many of the people that I've listened to or read from on the either near the situation or on the ground in the situation have said that many of the protesters now are really seeking solidarity, not necessarily so much with the government, but in just restoring some of the freedoms that they had under the democratic regime. And so, and it's kind of interesting to see that some of the solidarity movements have taken some information from the Hunger Games, and so they put up the three finger salute, which is obviously made popularized by the movies as well from the Hunger Games. But it's really interesting to see what's developing there. But have uh, I don't really have too much knowledge on the ground firsthand of what the situation in Myanmar is going to be. But um, I really in hope I stand and wait and hope that the people of Myanmar will get a more peaceful solution to the situation that's going on the ground now. So we'll wait and see how that goes. I don't think I've previously talked about this, but protests in India of the farmers and some of the reforms that the government has put in place have kind of created some unrest, and that is something that is really interesting to see with the protests. It is something that I think needs to be addressed, and it will probably be something that will probably reach some type of compromise, I hope. But the sheer fact that, there have been several severe droughts in India over I believe, the last few years. And so the subsidies that many of the government has given, but also some of the ways in which the markets are run in India, which allow for sort of cartel pricing by the farmers to distributors and suppliers, is going to be changed. And so many of the people who were making a decent living off of farming uh, are not going to be able to do that uh, under this new bill, which many of them are definitely upset and obviously not happy with the current Moody government about. And so there is much to see and much to wait and listen for in India. Um, I think this is going to be a pivotal time for them, but there will be some hopeful change about that. And also, I want to talk about some of the other protests in Haiti who are sort of protesting the almost dictatorial or strongman or ominous presence of the current president of Haiti, who I believe was backed by the U.S. in 2015 or 16. And obviously, there's been some atrocities committed by the Haitian security forces and things like that. But many of the people simply just want um, some of the subsidies to return and to end some of the corrupt practices and nepotism that go on in the Haitian government. Um, the Haitian government is not really been lauded for its transparency and things like that. And so some of the corruption that has been going on in the government, some of the people have taken notice to, and also the fact that the U.S. has backed some of the actions of the government in the country to sort of crack down and brutalize the people. And so that's something that they're really looking forward to, um, wrestling away from the government. And they also understand that the country is in financial and economic troubles. I believe some of the growth in India, I mean, in Haiti, has been almost stagnant, and wages haven't really increased the way that they should have in the past. And so it's really just something that people really need to get a grips on. And I think more importantly, you look at some of the numbers right now, it's just kind of startling that, there's 250 million people protesting in India right now. I doubt uh, that the government is not going to be responsive to them. Could you imagine if in the United States over 250 million people decided to take to the streets and protest? It kind of reminded me of the early days of the workers' protests and communes and things like that, where I believe in I think it was either in Cleveland or some other Midwestern city, maybe in Milwaukee, where only 1,000 people had gathered for the first May days and Labor days and things like that to protest for better working conditions and collective bargaining and things like that. And so it's kind of interesting to see now that in a less developed country, or what some people would consider a less developed country, or even underdeveloped country in India, where 250 million people are protesting for workers' rights, which is really astounding when you think about it, that so many people are really engaged in things like that. And it's also showing that some of the solidarity with the Indian people, where even public sector workers have decided to show their solidarity and strike with them as well, even though their jobs themselves aren't directly affected. So that it's showing that that nationalism kind of cuts both ways in India, where yeah, you might be able to otherize, Muslims and Buddhists and um and other people who aren't ethnically Indian or Hindu, but now you see that that's kind of created this thing where people have more solidarity and social cohesion with them with with among themselves than with other groups. And especially when, you think about India, many people don't know that it's the second largest English speaking country in the world. And so many of these people can go to social media and communicate with people in the United States or Great Britain or Australia or South Africa and get their message heard. And that's just, such a wonderful thing to happen in this modern time, that uh yeah, that so many people can really do that. And so I think it's probably not coming to the U.S. anytime soon. But if you think about it in such ways that you know workers' rights around the world are being threatened by fascist regimes and right wing governments, and basically all out frontal assault, corporate capitalism, and globalism. And so you see that there is a pushback on that, and um, Workers United will always be stronger than them divided, or those who merely seek their own profit motives or seek to gain from the capitalist system. And so that is something that is pressing for right now that needs to happen, not just in India or Haiti or Myanmar, but also in industrialized countries as well. Right now, there is the unionization of I believe the Belford, Alabama plant. I might not got that name right of the city, but it's a fulfillment center in Alabama that is their workers are having their rights. Either I guess formatted in this time, but they're gonna push to get a union, and so that's gonna be a very big blow to Amazon, who is this huge giant of a corporation that really seeks to muddy the waters and crush workers' rights. And this is kind of reminiscent of the golden age, if you think about it, of the gilded age, not the golden age, the gilded age of robber barons and things like that, and corrupt politicians. And so, the little guy might not be mighty all on his own, but you get you get a number of them together, and they definitely have more power. And so, it is something that is wanting to see, but I don't know exactly how the vote's going to go to unionize in the Amazon fulfillment center in Alabama. But Amazon definitely knows that if this one fulfillment center in a fairly densely populated state for a union organization like Alabama gets it done, it's going to be a domino, and it's going to definitely affect all the fulfillment centers, not just in the United States, but it's going to be a domino effect, and it's going to go across the planet. So we'll see. Only time will tell. Political Nomad out.